Hello, good evening. Hope everything is working. Hope everyone can see. Pup update. The puppy's not here because he was so naughty. Oops. Let me turn this sound off. Okay. The puppy's not here because he was so naughty last week. Only my older dog's here. Hello, Chelmsford. Hello, London. It's all kind of flat, isn't it? It's all very range bound. I'm going to start tonight looking at the dollar index. And the reason we're going to start tonight looking at the dollar index is I found that, like, watching the open on Sunday night last night, you know, when the markets open again after the weekend, I found it interesting how sensitive Bitcoin was to moves in the dollar in all of these little currencies. So let's, for example, look at a chart of our Kiwi on the open. Last night we had a big squeeze higher back to the highs here in pretty much all of the currencies, and we saw dollar weakness on the open, and that translated into a really cool squeeze higher in Bitcoin. So I think it's as important at the moment. I think that the dollar weakness may be one of the biggest drivers of the dollar at the moment, which means if they announce more stimulus, then or they're very dovish, that this would be bullish for Bitcoin and vice versa. Why am I saying that now? Because this week, tomorrow we have the Fed Chairman Powell speaking, and then on Wednesday we have the Fed minutes. Well, you would think, well, the Fed minutes probably wouldn't make any difference because, you know, this is all from last month's meeting. But I think that the Fed, if they want to correct the market, if they don't like what the market's doing, or they think it's too frothy, or they want to reassure the market, I think that they manipulate the minutes to see that, so that we could see some moves on that. Certainly, we shouldn't ignore the Fed minutes. They've moved the market before. So pretty much, you know, since 2016, this was the big drop that we had from December 2016 to 2018. And we retraced almost all of it. And we've really been, I think, in this sideways range for quite a long time. I wanted to see this initially as a kind of a diamond pattern. I need to turn off this magnet. So if I take that top channel away, I was looking at this as a kind of diamond pattern of indecision. And so if we do it like this, and then I think actually diamonds are cooler than head and shoulders or other topping patterns. They certainly get you in a little bit earlier, but they can go either way. Whereas a head and shoulders pattern, now we haven't quite got enough here on the right shoulder to develop this. So should we be bullish? I think it's kind of lost its charm as a diamond pattern, potentially a broadening wedge, which would mean that if we made another new low here, we would be looking somewhere down this line, and likewise if we rally, we would be looking somewhere along this line. But for the moment, we're dead in the middle, and we're tightening up again in the dollar and indecision. This weakness, it all comes from, I think we were on track, you know, to carry on higher. King dollar, I think that we were set up for a really nice 5-wave rally. This was 1, 2, 3. This is our wave 4, which are always tricky. And then a wave 5, we were looking for new highs. And what's happened here is the COVID and all the money printing has just killed the rally dead. So are we going to continue? I'm going to put my fibs back on here because here in when we look at fib patterns and what we're doing, we reversed it an 886 fib pattern, 886 fib retrace level, which is kind of, that's the square root of the 786, and the 786 is the square root of 61.8, which is one, if you're wondering how we get it. And when you reverse at an 886 fib level, which we did up there, then your first target is back to the 50% in the middle. And so that was here. And so we had a very nice bounce from that 50% level. And then your second level is this 236 fib, which is where we are. But these fib levels, they're like a staircase. So if we don't go down, then we are headed lower. I think that we have the potential in this dollar currency index. I will go to Bitcoin next. If we break these lows, because we're right on this, we're right on the level where we are 61% of this first leg lower. So if we continue lower, we're headed to 87 and the 200 moving average down here. So this means that this level in the middle that we're going back and forward through becomes kind of quite important. 93.11 if I've drawn it correctly here in the dollar index. And so that's kind of, for me, our bull bear line. We're above it at the moment, but that doesn't mean that we'll, sorry, I'm trying to get rid of this. Doesn't necessarily mean that we'll hold above it. Our moving averages have flipped bullish, so that's pretty exciting. So what I would expect soon then, if we're going to turn and carry on higher, and this is us done with this dollar correction, and there's not going to be any money printing, and the US is going to continue, is I expect this to rally, and that will be a downward pressure on Bitcoin. So I just want to talk about that dollar index to start with, and what's happening in the dollar index is quite important for Bitcoin, because when we zoom out, if you think of it, we're kind of in the inverse place, and we've had our big drop, we've had our rally. If we look at where we are in terms of our fib levels in this rally, I'm going to go from this low to this high. We didn't quite reach the 886. We reached the 786 in the fib rules for Bitcoin. That means that if you break the 61.8, this line here, which is 10,000 basically, if we break 10,000, our target is 7,600. No nonsense, that's the target. And we'll probably say high down there to this 200 weekly moving average, which is curling up as we catch up from here. Look, so I can't draw it on this because of the stupid magnet. There we go. There's our 200 moving average. So back below 10,000, that's where we're going. If we hold above this, then happy days, we can carry on. We can look to carry on higher from here. If I take my fibs away from here, so below 10,000, we're a bear. You can see for 5-6 weeks now, we've been consolidating in the bottom half of this weekly drop that we had. So whilst we're on the bottom half, you know, we are leaning bearish, aren't we? We haven't managed, we've had this nasty drop. We haven't managed to recover more than 50% of it. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside weeks and no progress. So we can't say we're bullish. I think if we get above more than 50% up or a weekly close above this level, we can say, okay, we're carrying on higher. So that's really our kind of where we are, in between 11,000 and 10,000. And really sideways back and fill. And so it's very dangerous when the market does this. It's so easy to be wrong, get chopped up, put a position on and really, you know, lose confidence in it and so on. So what are we going to be doing? If we look at this daily chart, our daily moving averages are flat. So that really means that we kind of have to look for lower time frames. We have to trade within the ranges and look at lower time frames and what's going on. Here, I feel like this was our first leg. So if you think of this drop as an A leg, and now we're in a B leg, if you like, or a wave 2. So here we are on a 4-hour. So here was the first leg up of our B leg. We've had a pullback, and this second leg, if we look here at Bitstamp, didn't quite get to the 61.8 level. I'm going to ignore that because at some exchanges it did. For example, Coinbase or Deribit, Binance, it almost did. But there is the potential then that we rally back to 11,000 from here because we haven't quite tagged that level. If we measure And if we go beyond that 11,000 level, then we could very easily be going ABC down, ABC up, and then our second target, we'll measure it again, would be the equal, if this is just a B leg, would be 11,500. So I feel like we're pretty well supported with these moving averages, and I feel like everything wants to squeeze higher. So first upside target would be 11,000, and if we can't get over 11,000, we're going to be stuck and looking lower. If we do get above 11,000, we look much, much more constructive, and we can look for 11,544, 11,550, and so on. Okay, so let's take them away. So the problem is with being long here, and what I don't like about being long here is this whole rally looks like one of those rising wedges. You know, when you have a trending market like this down move, it looks like this. We have a swing and a pullback, and then a swing and a pullback, and these two swings don't bleed into each other. You know, there's a gap between these and so on, and same here in this trendy, this is a trend move lower here. You know, once they start to overlap, you know you're in a sideways correction. And this whole rally has been choppy and overlapping and a rising wedge. Not kind of, now sometimes you can see that on a leading diagonal, but it's not very inspiring. And the risk is that it breaks lower with the trend. So if you wanted an early warning of when we're going to be breaking lower, I would say if this little channel that we're in, riding up higher, breaks down, that would be your early warning of some more downside. If we wanted to put a price on it, at the moment, before we make a new high, I use the 236 fibs. So if I put my fibs on from the high to low, my early warning is below 10,700, and then I would say below these lows and 10,640, I'm out of my longs and I'm going to wait for a bigger drop. So short term, that's how I'm looking at it this week. Until then, as long as we stay in this channel, we're going to keep squeezing higher though, aren't we? And that's what we should be looking for it to do, unless this channel breaks down. I'm not saying it's super bullish. I'm not saying if you're looking at, you know, buying Bitcoin for a big, you know, swing long, is this the level? It really isn't enough evidence of that yet, you know, and I'd really like to see it back above 11,000 in the daily 50, and then I would say, hell yes, we're on our way. Another way, a lot of people look at trend lines. So we put that on. Well, exactly when 20k. Let's make it a little bit. So see this red trend line? If we take that out, then that would be a really good bullish signal for a lot of people. But what would I expect? You see how this lines up if we rallied from here, if we squeezed higher from here and we squeezed back into these lows and this high that we're stuck at, it's actually a 50% level. If I mark it from high to low, our 50% is 11,152 a bit stamp. So if we squeeze back to 11,152, this would be a third touch of this trend line. So I just want to warn you all before you pile in, third touches of trend lines, just like triple tops, triple bottoms, are very often false breakouts. That means that we'll take a big look the other side of it and then we'll come back and close underneath it. You know, that move of death. So just watch out for that. If we don't, if we get above it and we can continue above it, remember, we're going to go to the 61.8 level, which is when we have got our equal measured move, and that's 11,500. Okay? Vishal says, why would you short a bull market? Well, I have to agree with you, but I think it's a nice easy short. Normally, for me, a bearish cross of these moving averages like this would be a really simple short back to the 200 moving average. The problem is this market's really squeezy. So instead of just dropping down to the 200 moving average and rallying back up again, what we're doing here is we're going to go sideways endlessly, and then eventually this 200 moving average will catch up, we'll say hi, and then off we'll go. Something like that. I'm a huge fan of MACD. I'm a huge fan of oscillators, okay? I think that they are, Vishal says, what do I think of using MACD? I like MACD, I like RSI, I use all of them. I think that they are really good timing. You know, the problem is here with the CCI we've died, that's based on a moving average. Let's put on an RSI or a MACD. It's a little bit clearer, isn't it, that we are kind of turning up again. For these, though, MACD, RSI, there's a big line that people don't often draw down the middle, which is the 50% level. And it's amazing how often this line is like support and resistance. For example, if I'm looking at a wave 4, I really don't like it to come back below that 50%. So here, whilst we look at this, we're holding kind of underneath that 50%. So I love it for timing. It was really good here, and it, you know, really good for oversold, overbought. But I use the CCI, which is basically also another kind of moving average cross for timing. So, and I've just got the histogram, you know, green above, blue but red below. So that's where we are with Bitcoin. Frustrating, very, very much like currencies. Flat moving averages means no trend. So, you know, if you buy it, you just know that you've got tough resistance coming up around 11,100, 11,150. If we take another dip lower and you're long from under 10,000, you're just hodling, you know, as long as we don't break that 10,000, really everything's good. If we do, we're going to look at 7,600 or lower. The problem is that this, if we look at this as a bigger downtrend, this sideways has usually resolves lower. David Corden says, have I discussed Bitcoin head and shoulders on the macro? I don't really. I'm not sure. I really don't have a head and shoulders pattern that's very valid that I can see at the moment. Maybe other people, maybe somebody could tweet it to me, but I really just am not seeing it. So, but I'm pretty picky with patterns. Okay, slanting up. Yeah, I don't like them slanting up. If I don't, you mean like this? Like that. So this is left shoulder, funky head, right shoulder. I don't mind a slanting head and shoulders pattern. I much prefer them when they slant the other way. I just find that they don't seem to work so well when they go that way. But yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, from 3 count A. I'm going to have to look at it later. Now, F does look worse than Bitcoin at the moment. Let's take a quick look at F against Bitcoin. I've waffled on quite a long way. So much, I think, is going to depend about where we are in the US dollar. Now, I kind of like this as a wave 1, and here I think we're in a big wave 3. So this was our wave 1, and here we go 1, 2, 3. So at the moment, I feel like this sideways horrid price action is wave 4 of 3. One of the reasons that I think that is that if I measure this swing and compare it to this swing was a perfect 1.618 of the first swing, which you very often see in a wave 3. And so if we think that this is a wave 3, we would expect it to retrace sort of 38.2 or 50%. So we've been sitting on this 38.2 level. If we look at it on the weekly, haven't been able to close beneath it, but we could potentially drop to this 50%. And then I think that that would be a really nice sort of screaming buy level if we do. If I put my fibs on the right so you can read them. So that would mean back to 0.0305. At the moment, holding on here. And you can see many weeks we've had a look underneath. We're having a look underneath today, aren't we? But if we see one more swing lower, that's where I would be getting ready for ETH. If I measure, swings lower as well. Do you know, I feel like this is going to go to the 61.8 and the 200 moving average, which would be really funky. Just because, no. Anyway, when I measure from this high to this low, you can see that we're sitting on the 61.8 level pretty nicely. I wouldn't rule out a dirty dive underneath it, tag that 50% level, and then close back above 0.313. If we did that, that would be kind of really quite bullish for me. And the important thing will be the snapback you see. You want to see a snapback from this 50% level. So 0.305, and we need to close the kind of day or week back below 0.0313. If we don't, we're going to do the bigger drop, and we're going to drop down to this 61.8 and the daily 200 moving average. So those are the two support levels. They're both a little bit, unfortunately, lower than where we are. But the most important thing would be, for me, that snapback. If we close and stay underneath 0.0313, in other words, if we dropped down to here and then we couldn't get back above this level and this low, so we did that, then that would still be bearish for me, and I'd still be looking for lower. Okay, I agree with you that ETH does look better than, worse than Bitcoin. I think it's a better short. And if we look, let's be honest, look at how some of these coins are performing. They're terrible, these altcoins, especially a lot of these newer ones, you know, that are all running on ETH. Let me find this where did I have that performance chart? I mean, seriously, look at this. I haven't got that. Wait, wrong one. Hold on. There we go. Like, you know, they all run on ETH. So, nasty. Okay. Sorry, get rid of that. So, yes, ETH against Bitcoin, I feel like we've got further to fall. I feel like if we look at this daily, that this was a sharp drop. We've had a couple of days rally inside bar, 3 inside up, and I think in terms of candlestick patterns, and then I think that this is set to continue lower and retest the lows. So 305, 313, that's where I'd be looking for. If you are looking at ETH US dollar, where would that put us? Well, seem to have lost my page, so I'll find it and we'll carry on. 1 second. Go back to ETH. So, you know, just when you look at, this is an hourly chart, okay, we've got high Kanashi candles, which are quite nice, but when you have a sharp drop like this, and then you have this choppy, grinding, overlapping rally that really struggles to come back, and we get stuck, you know, 50, 61.8. If we go back underneath this 38.2 here, 347, from these bunched up moving averages and below this low, that's, I think, your sell, and then this would be the first leg, A, B, C. If we did it, another way to look for this trigger would be to put this fib on from the low to high. See when we break the 236 fib. See how we couldn't close underneath it? 350 on these high Kanashis are really good, but that's the breakdown we're looking for basically. So if we don't, then we're just going to keep squeezing higher. Remember though, we look at the market on a Monday. I can't tell you how often on a Monday you'll see a big move and everybody will go, oh, that's the direction for the week, and then that move will be the high or the low for the week, and we've seen it a lot. So I would not be surprised if this little squeeze higher today was the high for the week, and you know that we see some weakness from here. So let's see where we are. If I look at my daily moving averages, it's a little bit inconclusive because we didn't make a new low from reversing at this 20 moving average, but these moving averages are all rolling over and suggest that we should come back to the 200 moving average in ETH dollar. If we look, we've had one big drop, rally, we're still in the B leg, which is potentially we're still in this B leg, which is always pretty tough. And then we'd be looking for a little bit lower from here. We're going sideways at the 38.2. Again, this 50% back, major support and resistance. That's where we would be looking for if this breaks down first, 288. And potentially 241. If we don't break down, if we hold the lows, if we're still in our B leg, in other words, this is our first leg and we've got another leg higher, then we've got more to come. But markets usually correct in 3 waves. So this is one wave and we're still working on our second before the third. It's not clear. One of the reasons why I think people are struggling with their shorts is it's not clear that this kind of B leg is over. So either use that fib level or go to an hourly, draw it as a channel or a rising wedge, just like Bitcoin. If the rising wedge breaks down, there's your sell entry. If you don't want to miss it, put an alarm on it, there you go. That's just how I would, as long as we stay in the channel, we're still going up. It's a bit messy, but that's how I kind of see it. I would sometimes also, let's take that away. My favorite way to see the edge of resistance is to clone the top side and then put it from the low. So that puts it like here, a little bit lower. If that breaks, then we're really properly going down. Okay. David Corden says, Trump getting worse. Don't believe he's fine. Do you know? Definitely. Although, I have to say, he seems to have got a little bit of sympathy vote from being ill, and he's, he wasn't doing very well in the polls, and he seems to be picking up again with being sick. But that little drive in the car, like, I can't, but, in this country, I don't know what it's like in your country or where you live, but in this country, if you have somebody in hospital in your family dying of coronavirus, you're not allowed to go in and see them before they die. You can't go and see them. And so this idea that he has coronavirus, he can jump in a car with a bunch of, I know those security, Secret Service people put their life on the line for him, but that was nuts. Anyway, so here's our little rising hourly channel. We've been in it since the beginning of the month after our nasty drop, and I think that we'll see at least a retest of the lows, if not another swing lower from here. Dan of All Trades says, historical stuff might not be that much use. I think unlikely you will get Bitcoin to go from 20. Okay, I'm going to quickly go back to, I've discussed my big picture view of Bitcoin before. I'm on Bitstamp, so we're on the right page for this one. Okay, let's get rid of these. Let's get rid of that. We'll go to our monthly chart. Okay, fill it out, auto. Okay, we don't want log scale. We want to see it real. Okay, I kind of feel like I feel like this was a big 5 waves up. It was a big 5 waves up that terminated at 20,000. And so basically I've been looking for a 3-wave correction and then for us to get going again in another leg higher. So it's not clear to me whether this was a big wave 1 or a wave 2, and we're starting a big wave 3 up. And a lot of it is going to depend on what we see next, because if this is a new wave 3, we should start seeing some really strong moves higher soon, and we won't go back below this 10,000 level. This will be a pretty nice pullback, hold 10,000 and up we'll go. However, the alternative view is, you know, sometimes markets have 3 directions, up, down and sideways, and potentially this big 3-wave correction we're in is a bigger 5-wave triangle. Sometimes they're 3s, and so this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've still got another major leg lower to go. And if that's the case, okay, we can measure kind of where we'll end up, because if we look at the first swing higher, it's not quite, it was like 50%. I think that we'll probably come down to, yeah, quite a bit lower. Let's put it this way. Let's draw it from like this. So we'd be looking somewhere down on this bottom line. But this is Bitcoin, and the third touch very often overshoots. So I would not be surprised to see. And so the reason we would do this, so this is be an ABC, and then this, it becomes a triangle. So actually I think we've only done, we've got a few more leg swings to go. So anyway, Bitcoin has RSI divergence on the hourly. Yeah, you know, we're almost over the month with the squeeze, aren't we? But this channel would be it. You know, how many times have we said, oh, this is it? You know, when I look at my hourly moving averages here, I think this looks pretty well supported actually. And in terms of my hourly, I really wouldn't short it here unless we broke down substantially. So for me, this 200 moving average is the king of the chart, whatever time frame you're on. And so here, when I look at on the hourly, I know we've got divergence, but unless we broke that down, I probably wouldn't do that. What do I think of the monthly bearish divergence indicators, RSI? Ah, now I see why you're calling it monthly. And the reason, and so for people who don't know why this is bearish divergence, it's because if you connect the highs, right, it doesn't look like there is any divergence, but RSI is based on closing prices. So if we connect our closing prices on the RSI here, then we should see this being a higher high. So we've got a higher high on our monthly close prices here. But what we've got down here is a lower high. And so this is why he's calling it bearish divergence. I'm going to say, just because we've got these tails, that I'm a little bit less scared about it. But I do see it. And yeah, you know, when we could. And if we look at these, gosh, if we look at these monthly closes, you know, we could be set for another swing lower in this channel. David says BVOL 7 is signaling a sequential buy. Yeah. So in a complex correction, which is, so this is not a triangle that starts from there. This is a ABC, and then we go A. Okay, so we've got a bit more correction to come if that more bearish signal plays out. I honestly, again, these monthly moving averages are lined up bullish. These weekly moving averages are lined up bullish. Okay, we're squeezing higher, we're riding the moving averages. I know it's a little bit slow so far, but for me, unless we fall back below 10,000 and then take out these lows, I'm really not in the horrid bear camp. Jimmy Chi says, could you draw a curve on the closed bottom candles in the uptrend? Yeah, I'm not much of a curve girl, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. The enormous correction. Here's the thing, though. The enormous correction that we were looking for in the legacy markets was stopped by the Fed printing stupid amounts of money. Stupid, like almost incomprehensible what you could buy with what the Fed are printing in terms of money every day. It's nuts. And so that is what is holding everything that is priced in dollars up. And so I think that, really do think that this is why Bitcoin has not crashed. I will check out the BVOL 70 indicator. I love a good indicator. Thank you. So let's go look at some others. So, you know, it's all perspective, you know. On our daily look, we look held down, don't we? Underneath resistance, underneath our moving averages. When we look at our 4-hourly, you know, we're pretty sideways up and chewed up. But when I look at this hourly, I think, God, you know, there's some potential for us to keep squeezing higher here. And that's how it starts. It starts on one time frame, then the next time frame, and so on. You know, some people might be looking at this trend line. I think that that might be a little bit of resistance for some reason. Bitcoin loves trend lines. Crypto loves trend lines. But yeah, very hard to short, and unless first off this small rising channel breaks, and then you would look at this bigger trend line as potential. That would be your first target. So back to the previous low and this trend line. That's where on a short you'd be looking for 10,300. If that breaks down, obviously we're going to the big round number 10,000 at these lows here, and then we'll see what happens. It's just be careful shorting without a really good signal, you know, just be careful. We've gone quite a long way green, haven't we, without a bit of a pullback. So I think we are due one soon, but it would just be a pullback unless we break it down from that channel. All right, I'm going to look at some other charts that are quite interesting. She said, hopefully, hold on, let me. Okay, we're going to look at OMG and DOT. So first off, OMG. This was so tempting. Here's a daily chart of OMG against Tether. From this high to low, we had a lovely, a super, you know, extended rally, and 5 waves down suggests correction over, and we're looking for another wave higher. At least if this is an A or a 1, we're looking for this wave 2 to be over and B or 3 to look higher again. What I'm looking for in this one is, if we're going to do that, an inverted head and shoulders pattern, something like that. I like the way we're holding these daily 20 moving average so far. You know, we haven't pulled back that far, but it's not a screaming buy yet. We're holding this 38.2 fib level. I think that there's a danger we could drop a little bit lower to this 50% here in the middle. 50% is very common in corrections. 3.46. So let's look at this on an hourly. We are starting to turn up again, aren't we? If we get above all these 4-hour moving averages, and above this pivot level, this 38.2, then that could be us. So sometimes smaller, this is a 4-hour, small head and shoulders and a big one. So I wouldn't be surprised here, because this is quite tough resistance if we do a bit of this overnight. But then above that level in OMG, this high in the middle here, 3.85, we can look for longs and retest the highs. If we don't and we stall here, which we look like we're doing with regular candles, and we can't get above it, then I'm afraid still headed lower, and 3.46 would be the next support in OMG Tether, not ready to go yet. If we look at OMG against Bitcoin, got very similar thing going on. If you measure equal measured move in this one, the Bitcoin chart is a bit more interesting. The main reason is that we've come back to the 50% level here. This is 50% back. I like how we're holding the 4-hour moving averages, and because this is an equal measured move that you can measure here, like this. So looking for this again to turn up again. So not quite a trend reversal yet. We need this high to go, but then looking good. If we don't, and if we just make ABC patterns off the lows, though, we're still going lower. So when I look at this, yeah, it's a bit, so ABC, ABC, and then yeah, this could be one of those corrections where this third leg is 61.8 of the first leg, and so if we drop down from here, if we roll over, then we need a retest of the lows, and we're not ready to go yet. So 36.40, above 36.40 should take us to 37.55. Above 37.55 we should be on our way up again. So watch out, we're at resistance in OMG Bitcoin tonight, and you never know, you know, we have to come back and get above this 236 fib. That's Fibonacci trend resistance, if you like, and until then, any dips you buy, that's going to be your first target. 37.87, above 37.87, especially if we make that head and shoulders pattern, target's going to be 5347. So not quite ready yet, but I'm watching it. Next one we're going to look at is DOT, which I don't actually have a chart for, so we're going to look at it from new DOT Bitcoin. Now let's take a look at this, because in a correction the most common place to come back to is 50%, and then you go 50% and then 50%. This looks like we've done it, we've done 50% and then we rallied, and this is the next leg lower. So let's measure and see where that might end up. So either we're going to hold these lows here, which is the 61.8 level, or we're going to drop down and do that equal measured move correction thing, which takes us down to 28,200. So let's look at WABI. Okay, well, I think that, you know, we can, because of this huge gap with this chart, right, we're still looking at this same thing here. So not WABI. Kraken's the same. I'm going to go back to Binance because I like how these levels are kind of being respected. Did I hear about the October 15th returning 140,000 Bitcoin? I did not hear about it. I need to investigate that. Anytime anybody's dumping some, you know, there are people that really want Bitcoin. There are people who really do, you know, want it as a hedge. and they can buy this over the counter. I would really, you know, if you have stuff like that to sell, why would you dump it on the market? Why wouldn't you find a buyer over the counter that doesn't crash the market? Any complete idiots do that. Okay, so you want, so I feel like if we lose this support at 37,753, and that would mean a daily close below 37,753, that the risk is we're going to 28,700. And we need to get out of a break out above this sideways range if we're going to go higher. And for me, that would mean a daily close above 41,479. So that's where we're stuck. Okay. Here's the top of our range. Here's the bottom of our range. Below here, quite a long way, 28,700. Don't hodl. Okay. I have to say that most people would look at this as a kind of bullish pattern because we've had this huge rally. We're holding in the top 50%, consolidating, and they would say, you know, that's probably going to hold and we'll break to the upside with the trend. Let's see Tether. This is a bit clear, isn't it? Because this is our 61.8, and you know, you look for back to this previous wave 4. This is really good support, okay, and 3.85 is really good support. So as long as we don't really want to retest it if we can help it. Now, if we lose 3.85 or if it falls beneath it, we will look for a Gartley pattern, which would be an equal measured move to this 786 here. That would line up perfectly as a Gartley pattern. And you would look for a fib extension from this, like this. They don't always. 1272. There, it lines up there as well. So there's our Gartley pattern. If that breaks, that's what we're looking for. And the best Gartley patterns are equal measured moves. So 3.04. If we lose the support at 3.85, this is where we're going to go. And this is why it would be a really good place to buy. Now, I'm wrong. And we're going up if we get above. You know, when you reverse it to 61.8 fib, your target's always back to the 38.2. They're very messy fib levels, but the pivot in the middle is always this 50% level. And in this case, we can do it from that initial high as well. So 4.43. So I am wrong about Tether going lower. If we get above 4.43, and it's time to buy some more. So we're going to buy some more above 4.43, or we're going to back up the truck at 3.04. And in between, this is our support at 3.85, and that's where we're going if we lose it. Okay, down of all trades. Is it to say when pullback equal measured move can be judged? Okay, fib extension. No, I kind of tend to use both, Dan, and I look for where everything lines up together. So in harmonic patterns, there are specific rules about where everything lines up. So for this to be a Gartley, then a Gartley is a really strong bullish pattern. So don't think because it comes down here it's not. This is a bullish pattern at 3.04. Trend continuation, you know. So that's what I'd be looking for. In terms of the equal measured move, another way I do like to look at it, so if I put this on from here to here like this, this doesn't help us in this case, but anyway, no, just I like to look for confluence, where the more people are going to be looking for. Reference polka dots. There was a chart before they changed supply. Okay, good. Okay. So that's dot. Hope that helped. Let's look. We've done ETH, so we don't need to do ETH again. We're going to take a little peek at some WABI, and then we'll keep going. Here's WABI. Oh, this is such an unfortunate, I feel like WABI Bitcoin. We'll start with WABI Bitcoin and we'll look on the weekly. Because I feel like we're still in a downtrend about this one. Let me tidy up this chart here, and you can see what we did. So from this last swing lower, you know, in a trending market, it's very common in a correction to retrace 50%. So from this high to this low, we made an A, B, C equal measured move in WABI. So that was also bearish. Look, this swing and this swing were equal exactly to the 50% back. And if you do that, and if it's just the A leg and a bigger one, then you're normally looking for, you know, mean reverting markets tend to keep mean reverting. So if we were going to keep going higher, we would have looked for 50% back to hold as support for WABI and then so on. But it hasn't. So we've got an bearish ABC, 50% back retrace. I'm afraid I think that this is going to be new lows. So, and no sign of a bottom yet. Now, clearly, there were around, you know, this level here, where we've got it hung on for a bit, didn't it? You can see that we made big attempts to hold that August low and didn't. You know, it may be that the buyers step up, but what we want to see now, if we're going to be bullish, is we want to see a double bottom or a slightly false breakdown and then a strong reaction when we get above that 739 level. Otherwise, I have to say, I think the path of least resistance is headed lower. We're going to look for fib extensions from the correction. So when you're in a downtrend, you do extensions from the rallies. So for example here, let me fix this. We're going to look for confluence and see where they line up, and then we're going to do the same here from this low to this high. And if we do this, you can see we get a butterfly pattern here at this. So this is where we're 1272 of this swing and 1272 of this swing, and it's at 429. So 429, if we make a new low, is where we're all headed, unfortunately, in WABI, if this low fails. Haven't done Haven yet. Gonna do Haven in a bit. So yeah, this is a bearish pattern, unfortunately, for WABI. Okay, next one we're going to look at is Haven. Ta-da! I almost don't like talking about it in this group because this honestly is so hard to get filled in. If you want any size, if you want to buy, honestly, any size at all, you just kind of have to leave layered bids underneath the market and hope for pullbacks that somebody dumps on you, you know, and because when it's moving higher or when it's just sitting there, if you buy any, you'll send it, you know, you really move the market. And that's been my biggest trouble with this one. Now, what I really like about Haven here, so I'm just going to I need to put these 618, 38.2, take rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Okay, so from this high to this low, we rallied to the 61.8. We went a little bit beyond it, to be honest, almost to the 786. But whenever you do that, your target's the same. Your minimum target is the 38.2. Here at 16,220. So this is why I bought at this 16,220. That's the first reason why I was looking to buy there. But that can sometimes be a little bit woolly. Now when I put my fibs on the other way and I go from this high to low, like this, you can see it was also the 50% back. So what do we say all the time? You know, a nice ABC correction back to 50% is a perfect trend continuation pattern. So this also, we've now got another strike for this 16,220 level. Another reason to want to buy here. And so that was good. Here we've got our daily 50 moving average. Let's not announce, that's super strong support. And all of our moving averages are lined up bullish. The 200 is here, the 50 and the 20. So they're all lined up to go high. So now there's a question of what was this about, this correction? Well, let me take the fibs away. And we'll hide this. So you know, normally you're looking for 5 waves up. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 waves back. But this was a little bit funky, so I'm going to explain. So a normal correction would be like that, and you carry on higher, wouldn't it? But when you do that, in between, in that B leg is an ABC, right? And then it's like that. So here, so sometimes that ABC will make a new low and still be like that, and it still be a correction. And sometimes it looks even more like that and carried on. And I think that's what we did here. So this is our A leg, and then we went B, and this was our C leg. And if that was correct, then this swing and this swing should be equal, right? So that's how I look at it anyway. So if I measure this, so I can't see it very well here, let's look at it on a 4-hour. And so this is why I really like this level. Let me line it up correctly like this. There we go. Equal. So this was my third reason for why I wanted 16,100, 16,200. I actually had a bunch of orders here and didn't get filled on them. It was really annoying. But I managed to grab some. So this is why, for me, this was the ideal ABC, 50% back, 61.8, 38.2, so on, rally. And so now when I put my trend line on and say, we've been in this descending channel, are we breaking out? And let's clone this, and you can see, yes, we are. So hopefully we're on our next leg higher. Sometimes, though, there are fib levels that get you into trouble, especially if you've reversed from 50% back. The 50% going higher is the one where you'll have trouble at, and that's exactly where we're at. So we've got a little bit of a pause here, and it could be because we've gone 1, 2, 3, funky leading, and we could have finished wave 1 and be about to see a little bit of a deeper pullback here. If so, I would expect 3 waves back to these moving averages, but I'm still really bullish, and I would be very happy if it did that and let me buy some. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish this one. So let's go back to the daily. Now, if this was our wave 1, and this is our correction complete, and we're looking for a wave 3, the most common relationship between wave 1 and 3 is 1.618. So that gives me the target of 43,500 for this wave 3. So I would expect this to be 5 waves. Okay, then I would expect a pullback to the bottom of this wave 4 in 3 waves. So it would be more like that, and then carry on. But so that's why when I tweeted that was my first target. Okay, let me tidy up. And when I put my fib extensions on like this, here it's the 1.618. Not only is it where this swing is 1.618 of this swing, but if I put my fibs on from this high to this low, that's also where the 1.618 extension is. So again, confluence. There's now 2 reasons why that should be my first target. So do I think that that's going to be the high forever? No, I just think that that's where we'll see a pullback to the bottom of it, and then next leg, if we are as bullish as I hope we are. So I hope that makes sense. Dan says, interested in Monero. I think these privacy coins, yeah, regulation is coming, and so there is a place for these privacy coins. Alex, honestly, that's what you've made it. Alex says, if you slowly accumulate a bunch of haven without moving the price, how are you going to get out of it without moving the price? Alex, you have to, here's the thing, and this is how I do it. You have to be willing to sell at a level you've identified when it's still going up. So, for example, if we start breaking out and we get all the way up here, I would sell at least half of my position here, and because especially if it starts screaming higher and everybody wants it, that's when you can sell it. If you wait for a reversal signal, then that's when you crash the market. So hopefully more exchanges, more liquidity would be a good reason. Yeah. So that's my technical reasons for having that target. Okay. So buy pullbacks, unless you're, ex-US dollar, of course. Yeah. That's the other thing to do. So let's look at FTM. Yeah, you can get out into ex-US dollar, that's true. That's why Haven is, but yeah, if you want to go to Tether, then it's slightly different. Yeah, no problem, I'll look at ICX. FTM, here we go. So clearly, if we zoom out, this one's has done a very nice 5 ways up, and we're in a big correction. Okay, if we look at our fib levels, where did we reach on our rally? Because it sometimes helps us to tell us where we're going back to. Didn't quite reach the 886. So normally the 38.2, we've come back to there, and then the 23.6 is the second target. So I have a feeling, especially looking at where this 200-day moving averages, that's where we're headed back to in FTM Bitcoin. And I'm a little bit concerned about this one, because if we look all the way up, so from the lows that we made in May 2020, can you see how we rode the daily 50 moving average? So we got above it, support, 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 and now we've broken it. And so when you do that, when you flip these moving averages, when you break them, you're looking for the 200-day moving average on your pullback. So that would line up, I think, by the time we get here. So just mark this support and resistance level. I'm looking for 162 on the downside in Phantom Bitcoin. Now, I'm wrong if we get back above this daily 50 moving average. And at the moment, the daily 50 moving average is at 314. So there we go. Matt Brick says, medical experts gave Trump the green light for the short ride outside wall. Do you know, they must think we're fucking stupid. Imagine what it must be like if one of your relatives has just died in hospital of COVID and you weren't allowed to visit them, and he's driving around in a car full of people with the virus. He might as well have just got on the train. I don't know. I just think it's unnecessarily risky. He has so much sympathy at the moment, being sick, and he has access to so many televisions. He's way better at social media than Joe Biden, than Biden. You know, he didn't need to do that. That's all I think. Anyway, I'm going to stay off politics. I win a car. I've got a car bet on the result of the US elections. So I better shut up, really. Talking my book. Okay, let's look at ONT. I haven't looked at a Phantom against the dollar. I don't know if you can trade it against Tether. Probably. Let's take a quick look. Again, if we look at all the way back here, since we got above this daily 50 in May, support, 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 and we've broken it. So we're looking lower from here unless we get back above that 50. And that 50 is at 3,400. So otherwise, yeah, I'm afraid long way back. And to the 200 moving average. If we made a big ABC correction here in Phantom against the dollar, potentially we could hold these lows at 25.33 and go sideways while this catches up. But yeah, no, time to get out really. Unless we get back above, you could sell it here, and if we get back above the 50, that would be a really good buy trigger. You know, could we rally from here? We potentially could. This could be A, and this is B, and this is C. And if we measure them, look, this is an equal measured move. This is, we could rally from here. Couldn't we? See, that was a bit like Haven, you know, where you have so we had a little bit of a funky one. So remember, corrections are three ways. So this is our A leg, here's our funky B leg, and here's our C leg. And this are equal. So yeah, this could be the support level. So below 28.46, we are a little bit bearish, aren't we? Otherwise, if we rally and you want to buy it, watch it rally and see if it gets back above that daily 50, and then I would buy it. I wouldn't buy it whilst it was underneath and still in a downtrend. It's not going to be yellow, it's going to be pink. No, it's not. Okay. ONT then. And sorry, FTM. ONT we're going to go to next. Being a little bit slow. Ontology. Now, this is a bit of a level that I've been watching for Ontology to hold. Again, if we're going to say we're in the realm of funky corrections, because this is really funky, isn't it? B leg here, I think this is A, B, and now C, and so I should put mine from here, okay, on the high. So we're right on this equal measured move, right on the level where we should be looking for this to find support 549. So we've tested it, and now three little inside bars. Not bullish yet, are we? We need to do a little bit more, close 50% up, something like that. I would say the 236 fib might help us here for the first sign. So if we can close above 573, that would be a good bullish trigger. And if we look, we've got this double bottom here. Not quite a double bottom, is it? But this is the level anyway, isn't it? So I'm looking for Ontology Bitcoin to make a base here, and above 573, a close and hold above 573, that would be a really nice long entry. So that means above it, find support, carry on, not false breakout, crash back. Okay? Mark says, is there any view on Coinbase giving HMRC our trading details? Okay. Okay. In the UK, because I'm a trader like you, if you haven't declared your crypto trading on your tax return, or because you haven't cashed it out or whatever, you can. The worst thing that's going to happen to you is you have to pay capital gains on your. You have to pay capital gains on your profits. So as long as, you know, if you haven't got any profits, you won't... Shit, did it? Do you think they watch the show? Bastards. I think somebody wanted to buy it there, and look how it's bouncing. Let's see. Okay, so the worst thing that will happen, okay, you just tell them it was an investment, you haven't taken anything out of it, unless you are, you know, kind of taking regular profits out, then you know, it's a bit of a pain. But you don't need to pay, you won't pay more than capital gains tax unless you are solely trading for a living. And if you are solely trading for a living, this is one of the things about Haven. I wonder if I still had an order down there. Okay, so this was then an ABC, wasn't it? So now we've made a new low, so now we can start again with our count, okay? You know, does this change my view? You know, you can have spikes in crypto all the time. Where you close is important. So if we spike all the way down here, but we close back here above these moving averages and above our breakout, this is not, for me, a bearish look. A false breakdown is actually very bullish. If we get stuck underneath here or back under this 200 moving average, then yeah, I'm going to be a little bit more disappointed. You know, and I think that we will look lower to this too, and we'll see another leg lower. But there we go. I actually had orders here that I got filled on that move in, so that's how I'm not bearish. Okay, I'm going to quickly go back to ONT. So that's what we need to see. At the moment, we're just trying to build a base here in ONT. This is a really good level to do it from, but just like we've seen in Haven, until we actually make a base and reverse the trend, and a trend reversal, it's going to be above this 571, 573 level. We are not reversed, still in a downtrend. Okay, like ONT. Okay. Okay, well, if you haven't, okay, you only pay tax on you only pay capital gains on your profits, and if you haven't taken it out, you don't owe any money. So I don't think you need to freak out because they're going to be telling HMRC about you. But if you're a day trader or a regular trader and you take money out every month to pay your bills and that's how you make your living, then you should be a little bit pissed off. Then you're going to be a bit pissed off, and you need to, you know. The thing is, HMRC are all right if you talk to them. If you say, listen, it was crypto, I never realised I had to pay taxes on it, no, you know. Okay. For me, I would say my crypto profits are more of a headache because but yeah. Okay, but if you sold to euro and it's still in your crypto account and you didn't take it out of your crypto account to buy a car with it or whatever, then no, you haven't. It's in, you haven't if it's still at Coinbase. All right then. Link. I can't believe we're going to do a night without talking about Link, so we're going to talk about Link. Are we there yet? With this is key question with Link. Are we there yet? Have we made a bottom yet? Are we on our way up again? Okay. I think in Link that this was our most recent 5-wave swing high. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so I put my fibs on this most recent 5-wave swing higher. This is linked Bitcoin, and these fibs have been working really well. This was a 38.2, big, huge bounce from the 38.2. This was the 50%, huge bounce from that. Still in a downtrend, mind you. And then the 61.8, which is typically messy, we overshot. We got it back again, and we're holding on, but pretty good. And as long as we hold on, I'm going to say that this 61.8 leg counts as a hold. And we're not going to drop down to this nasty 786 here. Well, we might eventually, but we're not now. So at the moment, we've had a big swing higher, a pullback, and we need a third leg before, even if this is just a correction, this is over, and potentially we test this trend line. So that's our first, this is our bearish target and link. This 61.8 level at 105,357 link Bitcoin. So that's our first upside target. If we get beyond that and beyond this trend line, then, you know, we're going to do that 61.8, 38.2 thing. And then I think we've got more chance of a reversal, because when you get to the 38.2, you usually come back and retest this 50% pivot level. And you can see, look through the middle here, what a strong pivot level it is. And then if we're going to keep going higher, we'll go on higher from here. So that's the bullish idea in link. The bearish idea in link would be we come up, we go just beyond this high to the 61.8 level, and we do one more swing lower. So above 105,357, we're going to go to 118 and then potentially back again, but that's what I'd be looking at. So we're looking for a spike above these previous highs, and the resistances 105,357 we have to close above if we're going to be moving more higher, more, you know, reversing the trend. Let's look at linked Tether. Actually, we've got very similar. Got a very similar pattern going on, 61.8. Here's our 50% level in this link again. That's at 10.73. You can see really good pivot level it is. If we go to our measured move level though in link, it's going to be a little bit higher, and it's at 11.22 and this previous high. So 11.22 is my nice long target here. If we fail there, we'll see new lows. Maybe this 786 fib level. If we can get above there, then we'll have done that. You know, in between the 61.8 fib and the 38.2 is called the golden ratio zone. And you go from the 61.8 to the 38.2. So our second target is going to be up here at these previous highs. So somebody sold the market at 16,289. Good God. Let's go back. Okay, I like everything about this correction. I think that if you like some and you wanted to pull back, this is a gift, but that's me. Okay, Ripple. So we know where our levels are that we've got to overcome. Now, Ripple's been really tempting, hasn't it? The last couple of days. Let's start with Ripple Bitcoin. Here's a daily chart. Now, the problem with Ripple, this was this lovely rally that we had over the weekend. And this is the resistance that I marked. The reason I marked the resistance here is, you know, when you're in a downtrend, you make lower highs and lower lows. So we have to take out this high here for us to reverse the trend. Plus, at this level, we've also got daily 50 moving average, 200 moving average, whole bunch of resistance. And yeah, I would let it settle down, I agree. But if I measure my equal measured move here, A, B, C, there. So we had a pile of resistance here for Ripple. And I haven't even put a fib on yet. Which I might do now. So that's what we've got to overcome. Now I will look at uni. Now when I look at where our support is, oh, it's a back test of this 236 fib. Here's our support. Okay, and here's our, no, we didn't want to do that, resistance. So 2308, if we can hold above 2308. SEC files fraud charges against John McAfee, alleging 23.1 million in undisclosed compensation for promoting ICOs. Do you know, I don't know if you know Gemma on Twitter, Gem, but he was pretty nasty to her. And she didn't deserve it. So I'm a little bit low on sympathy for him. And you know, those ICOs and what happened with those ICOs, that's karma anyway. Let's talk about karma. That's karma. And when I say he scared my friend, I mean he scared the life out of my friend. Anyway, there we go. Below 2308, we're a little bit bearish, and we're a little bit bullish above 2350. So we're right at resistance and Ripple. Which way next? Let's look at our hourly. So, you know, if this is a 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, normal correction would be back to the bottom of wave 4, where we've done. So a nice little ABC here, you know, that wouldn't be too bad at all, would it? Ripple. So if we can hold this support, I like it, and turn up higher again, I like it. Let's watch for that ABC correction and see if we can do it. But only a back above those highs would be us really bullish. All right, then, the next one we're going to look at is XMR, which has been super bullish, Monero. I haven't looked at Ripple Dollar. I'm going to quickly give you the levels for Ripple Dollar and show you why it's the same problem as Ripple Bitcoin. Quickly, though, we'll look at it against Tether. We haven't quite, in Tether, reached the equal measured move level yet. In fact, if I put it on, you can see that we've got a little bit higher to go. We haven't quite reached the previous highs. In fact, I would say that we haven't quite reached resistance. So we've got room in Ripple Tether to squeeze a little bit higher. And above 2573 is, if I've measured it correctly, where we're going to get really excited. So Ripple Bitcoin, we're at resistance now. Ripple Tether above 0.2574. Watch out that we don't stall there and get in a little bit of trouble. Above there, we're in a much bigger move higher. We will have taken out these previous highs. We'll have reversed the downtrend and so on. Jimmy Tree says overshot third touch. Yeah, like some of these charts are just spiky. You know, they are just spiky. But look where we've rallied back to now already. Already back to 18. And these daily moving averages in this channel. So I'm not... Look at this tail. Like, that's not... This is a false breakdown and it's not bearish yet. Now, it might still end up being a bearish close. I'm going to let it calm down. Okay, Monero. We've done Ripple. We're going to look at some Monero. Ripple Dollar has a bit more room. Now, here's my... Here's a weekly chart of Monero Tether. It wasn't always this well behaved, but these fib levels have been pretty sharp. Okay, this was 50% in the middle, 61.8 you can see was support, 786 was resistance here, and now we're at the 886. So if we're going to keep going higher, that's 110.55 is our next resistance in Monero. Dollar. And because we're here, it may be that we need a three-wave correction, just as you do. On the daily, it's not clear. To be honest, it's a bit, I feel like when I look at this is an A leg, B leg, and we need a C leg. So that's what I'm looking for here in Monero Tether. Unless we close and hold above 110.55. If we do that, that's our next leg. So happy days, okay? Otherwise, look for something like this. And sometimes after an extended, it might be that we see a triangle in this position. So I would expect, yeah, if we did a triangle, it would look something like that. And we carry on, okay? So strong resistance, maybe one more little swing lower before Monero Tether turns up again. And 110.55 against the dollar is the level to watch. Okay, if we are going to, again, look at this just like Bitcoin, like a rising channel. If we drop out of the rising channel, that would be the next leg lower. I think John McAfee's great as long as you don't work for him. Yeah, she worked for him, so on the boat. So okay. All right then. I am going to look at the Monero against Bitcoin and then move on. So at resistance, might see a little bit more correction before we can break higher in Monero. If we do the daily here, yeah, gosh, this is going well, but so big picture, if I put my fibs on Monero Bitcoin from the highs, this 236 fib level lines up. It's so often amazing how they line up with big levels from the opening range, and they're always important. So 12,562 is a really good big first upside target, if you like, for Monero. If we say that this was 1 and 3, I'm not sure that it is, but or even this is 1 and 3. When is wave 4 going to begin before we get there? I would be looking for at least 1.618 here, and so we're not quite there yet. So we've gone beyond the equal measured move level, we've gone beyond this previous high, we've pulled back and find support, and I'm still looking for at least 11,759 and then that big 236 fib level, so maybe a pullback there. So bigger picture, Monero Bitcoin, further to go. So these lows first here are wave 4 and then this 236 fib at least. Now I am wrong if we drop back below 96.26. We shouldn't. The thing is with these fib extension levels, they work as support and resistance. So that should be our first support. So when I look at this on the daily close anyway, so I think still again that this is an ABC correction that we're looking at. So if we do it this way, look, we've gone ABC for our A leg, ABC for our B leg, A, B, might be 5 waves for this one, and then finish. So I think that we have a little bit of a squeeze lower before we go higher again, short term, but big picture Monero and Monero Bitcoin I'm really bullish. Okay. So Monero dollar really bullish, Monero Bitcoin really bullish, but both of them at a level where I think we could see just one more swing lower before we turn up higher again. Love Monero. Dash, haven't looked at Dash. This is such an OG coin. Now, let's have a tidy up here. Let's talk about where we are, because I think I'm going to use that one. So this is one of those 61.8 fib reversal levels. This was the 50% pivot level in the middle, previous high, and this was our 38.2 first target. If you go beyond the first target, which we did here, we got underneath it and it was resistance, then the 236 is your next target. So we have not quite got there yet. We are sitting back and forward on this sideways support level, but I feel like this is going to break down. We've got one more drop. So dash dollar 59.76. Now I might be wrong, because clearly that's really good support. Let's hide this and go the other way. Yeah, a little bit lower is the 61.8 here, isn't it? So we bounced from the 50%. So again, still looking like, although we're on some pretty good support and resistance, I feel like it's going to break down and we've got a little bit further to go for dash dollar. 61, between 60.3 and 61.8 is our support zone. Very often, wave 1 and wave 5 have a relationship. Oh, that's not in this case though. That's also actually where we would be 1.6. So I'm going to say yeah. Now, where would I be wrong about that? Well, this 50% level, this big 50% from the lows to the highs, is a really strong pivot level. So if we get back above that, I'm wrong about us going down further and we're going up again. So above 70.55, that would be us going up. Otherwise, I would be a buyer. A little bit further down. Oh, screwed that up. Anyway, there we go. So a buyer above here, otherwise look for a dip a little bit lower in dash dollar. If we look at dash Bitcoin, yeah, I might as well use Coinbase. It's not so pretty here, is it? I think we might even have run out of fib levels with that 942. A little bit, okay. So this 886 fib that we've broken underneath is now resistance. Support here becomes resistance here. So we're still in a downtrend unless we get above it, and we're stuck in this downtrend. So dash Bitcoin has further to fall. So our next fib level, let me put it on the... People say to me, where do you get these fib levels from? Where does the 886 from? Okay, the 786 is the is 61.8 squared. 886 is the square root of 786, and 942 is the square root. So that is where I see our next support in dash Bitcoin. It is at 0.00593. So a little bit further to go. Oh, Dash was massive, and not only that, but Dash was a big thing in South America as well. In the stress, you know, Dash was a pretty popular coin there. So let me yeah, there we go. So we're down in the weeds looking for reversal. No sign of it yet. I feel like we may have a little bit further to fall. So let's see. No reversal yet for Dash, sorry. Okay, let's look at SCRT, which was requested, which is not a coin. And then I'll look at your little uni. Here's uni here, look. SCRT. SIA coin. So the way I look at fib levels on retraces is really simple. If we went to the 50%, I would be looking for 50% back. But we didn't. We only got to the 38.2. So now we can say, right, this 236 needs to be support here. 5445. Otherwise, from a 38.2, you can do a really deep retrace in this one. We don't really want to do that. So let's now that I've marked that, put these on the other way. Kind of in the middle, isn't it? So it's not really helpful. So you know what we said about sort of 50% of the most recent swing? This is where we're sitting, 50% of the most recent swing, but also a bit of potential support here, but it's really not enough, is it? Not enough data. Well, I think that this actually has pulled back to quite a decent place. If we're going to keep trending higher, this is where I would like to see it rally from. This is an ABC where the second swing today is 61.8 of the first one. And so, you know, if we get back above 62.42, then yes, next swing higher and we'll keep going. I can't really give you targets yet because it's just so new. We're just really looking at retrace targets. So put your fibs on from the highs to the lows like this. This was our 38.2. This 236 was pretty nice too. Messy though, isn't it? 50% and so on. So another way, you know, you can look for extensions from each swing correction. So you're looking for 1272 or you're looking for 1.618 for the second target. So if we do that here, 1272 didn't get to the 1.618. Again, if we go up from here, if we do 1272 and then 1.618 and so on, we'll just keep climbing up. Another way to use for targets is to imagine it as a channel, if you can draw it as one, which we kind of can, can't we, as a parallel channel. And so test this top level of the channel would be also a pretty good place. Price tends to stay in it pretty well, so that's how I would give myself targets for this because it's new. Otherwise it's a little bit hard to divine which way or anything more, you know, just not enough information. Yeah, it's not traded against the US dollar, so I'm not going to chart it against the US dollar. Okay, so we're going to ask, so let's take a look at little uni. I'm going to start with the daily of this one because I don't feel like these fibs are really working. How high did this go? didn't make it, did it? So this is quite interesting from this high to this low. The first rally was to 50%. When you see that, you're usually looking for a 50% pullback. So if we do that in uni, from this low to the high, here we got, it's a bit messy, 50%. Then we really couldn't get going. We stayed, you know, stuck and are in a nasty downtrend. So if we imagine this is our A leg correction, we're still in our B leg. Let's measure where we might end up because we're at new lows. So there we go. 2.39 in uni Tether. That's a bit disappointing, isn't it? That's probably going to be that bullish SCRT pattern when we get there. Yeah. Now sometimes, you know, they become a declining wedge and you get a bit of a channel. So we're wrong and we're going up again. If we break out of this descending channel, it's very tight, doesn't it? But that's the hourly, 4-hourly channel that we're in. So if we look at it on an hourly, we're going to stay in a downtrend as long as we stay in our descending channel. And I feel like it's got a bit further to go. If we put fib extensions on from here, here we are sitting on the 1272. It could be that we go all the way down here to 2.5, again 2.5. Let's see where that. $786 is. Can't remember. No, it doesn't really line up, so that's not helping us. Let's just do one more thing. No. Yeah, this one's a tricky one, unless we break out of this channel or we start turning around these hourly moving averages. I'm still looking lower. Potentially, there could be Fibonacci support here, potentially, at 3.17. If we lose 3.17, though, I think 2.53. Let's look at uni Bitcoin or uni. Yeah, they're not really lining up, so don't like to lean on them if they're not. If they're not working. It's a very nice pullback, inverted head and shoulders that didn't work, wasn't it? Okay, let's do a couple of things here. Where's that 61.8 level going to be? 24,791, and then 1.618. Okay, so here we are at this 1272, maybe support level. To me, it doesn't look like we're holding it. So if we continue lower, massive support at 24,500, 24,600. Okay, that's where I see it for uni. Now obviously that means that you're going to give from here to here is 20%, so you have to decide if you're willing to write it down that another 20%. Okay, I can't help it, I have to look at Haven. Okay, still. Okay, sorry. All right then. So is everyone all right? Has anybody got any ICX? Hello, Skyhan. I'm going to start with ICX Bitcoin on a weekly chart, which has been a little bit disappointing. Let's put it that way. I'm going to put regular candles on. Because here it feels like a big correction, ABC, even though this looks so strong, didn't it, this rally? This looks like a big correction where the second swing was 61.8 of the first swing, and we've kind of done a double top thing where, you know, we couldn't make a new high. When you see an ABC correction like that, normally the normal retrace is 786. So from this low to here, I'm afraid it's all the way back down here, which is quite a long way. If you see us go through the levels, obviously there's going to be a bounce level here before then, but I'm afraid that I feel like we're headed back down to here. 2,600. Okay. So a little bit, unfortunately, bearish. Let's look at this on the daily. Because if you see this 200 moving average really tried to be support, didn't it? And now we're stuck underneath it. We got underneath it 3 days ago. Resistance, resistance, and resistance. The high today was the 200 moving average. So clearly, it doesn't mean that it's the end. Obviously, we've been back and forward between this 200 moving average before, but if we were going to go higher and I'm wrong, the first thing I would want to see would be back above this 200 moving average. Otherwise, I think that we are, unfortunately, in ICX Bitcoin headed lower. Now, that doesn't mean, if Bitcoin's rallying, it doesn't mean that ICX necessarily will do. So let's take a look, because we are on a better support, you know, we're in a better position against the dollar. It just means it's going to underperform Bitcoin then, doesn't it? Because we're at the 61.8 level. We are above the 200 moving average, and a pretty good support and resistance if we look left. I just don't have a reason to buy this one yet, unfortunately. I'd like to see it say hi to the 200 moving average and launch off it. Or just like a better bottoming pattern, you know? Double bottom, head and shoulders, make a base, you know, let me know that it's going up again. I'm dead wrong, okay? Remember, if this is because this is a big 61.8 fib, if you want to do that 61.8, 38.2 thing, which would be quite a nice trade, you have to get through the 50% level in the middle here. Okay, and that 50% level in the middle here would be where we have an exact ABC correction. So if you get a nice, because we've got this little wedge, haven't we? Okay. See how that lines up exactly with that 50%? So if we get up here and then fail, that's your bearish trigger. All right, but if we get a counter trend bounce and you wanted to trade it, that's where we would be going to. Or if you're looking for a bounce level to get out, that would be it. So now down here on the hourly, we've got this really cool consolidation going on, so that if this breaks to the upside instead of lower, right, that would be your counter trend long, okay, and you'll be looking for 0.46. Well, you'd be looking for 0.428 and then 0.46. If this continues lower underneath this 61.8, then clearly we've got quite a long way to go to that 786. Hi, Freddie. SNX and Rune. So where's that little Rune gone? Here it is. So Rune, on our big rally from the low, stopped at the 38.2 fib. So this is our A leg, and we're doing our B leg. The problem with a 38.2 when you do that in your first leg is you very often get really deep retrace levels. The good news is that when we make our next swing, we're going to go to at least a 1.618 projection of this correction, if not 2.618. And we could end up doing a really nice back pattern all the way up here. But for now, we're still in a downtrend. We're still underneath these daily moving averages and looking a little bit like we need to find a bottom. So when I put it on a 4-hour and hourly, just like a lot of these coins, we've got this channel that we're in. Only if we break out higher from this channel are we going to say that we are going higher again. I'm hoping that's parallel. Yeah, it's parallel, so that's okay. Otherwise, yeah, really deep retrace underway. Now, let's take a look at these. Yeah, I think we could go a little bit lower still, 3737. But breaking out from this channel would be the key to us seeing the next swing higher. And then measure high to low and look for 1.618 next. So I really like these highs here in this 61.8 level for a next target, but we'll have to wait until it actually bottoms to see. Let me see if I've got SNX here, I'm not sure. Yeah, I have. Look at this chart. Now, they call this in harmonics a 3 drives pattern. So normally you would look at that and go, oh gosh, what a perfect ABC correction. We should be on our way up again, right? Everything looks amazing. Why not? And this ABC came to 50% back, so looks fantastic, doesn't it? But we talked about how these corrections can get out of line. Okay, so and again, normal correct. So if you're in an uptrend, ABC, up you go. But sometimes, so remember, in that B leg, it's got to have 3, and you do this. And then sometimes, yeah. And then sometimes it gets out of whack. So you have your uptrend, first leg lower, here's your A, then you make a new low, and that's your B. And then you do this. And so you end up having 3 drives. And so that is what I think this looks like if we make a new low, because this looks really heavy. Now, it's normal when your moving averages are the wrong way round to come back and retest the lows, make a double bottom, make that kind of bottoming pattern. So I would expect to retest the lows, but I feel like we might go a little bit lower and do that bigger ABC thing to this 61.8, and maybe this 200 moving average catch up, and maybe even bigger, look, equal down to here. Are they equal at the moment? No. That would line up then, wouldn't it? So that's 61.8. So 29,700. For a variety of reasons is where I think we're going to go next, a little bit lower, and potentially these lows. Now, I might be wrong. Clearly, if we hold these lows on a retest and turn sharply higher, I'm wrong. But I haven't got any reason to buy this yet. I don't like this rejection at these daily moving averages. I think they're bearish, and they are saying back to the 200 moving average for me. So I'd be sitting on my hands, and I would wait. Don't accumulate any more like this. here, this low and this 200 moving average, that's a much better place to look. And if we come all the way down and we put our fibs from the all-time highs to lows, you can see that that's a better level, isn't it? That's the 61.8. So 50%, 61.8. I just feel like a date with that 200 moving average is more likely. So hold back on buying this, on the SNX. Okay. That's it. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. Have a great week. Again, watch out for Fed comments tomorrow and Fed minutes on Wednesday. Otherwise, it should be quiet until midweek. And then, because China's been on holiday, they have a week-long holiday. And the holiday starts again on ends on Thursday. So the markets have been closed in China, will have been closed for 8 days. And so then I think we could start seeing some stuff hot up. All right, let me see. Thank you, George Cox. Thanks, everyone.